Hello and welcome to episode 2 of DealerPod, the podcast where we talk to motor trade industry experts nationwide to find out about their businesses and gain any insights they may have to help you with your car sales operation. My name's Stephen. I'm joined today, as always, by Scott and Martin. And today's guest is somewhat famous in car dealer circles. He runs a very successful local dealership in Stoke on Trent, and he is also the chairman of the Independent Motor Dealers Association. I'd like to give a big warm welcome to Umesh Samani. Hi Umesh, how are you doing?
Good to be on here, Stephen. Thanks to having me on here. I'm very well. How are you guys? You okay?
Very well, thank you.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So Umesh, I think we'll just dive right into it. Just tell us a bit about yourself and how you got started in the motor trade.
Purely by accident in the old days, to be honest with you. I started originally as a mechanic, believe it or not, on the old spanners, really. Did the City and Guilds apprenticeship all those years ago. Loved what I did, to be honest with you. I enjoyed being a mechanic. And in 1983, I fell into selling cars, actually, you'd say. I got offered a job at a local VW dealer. Never sold cars before. I used to enjoy repairing them. Got the opportunity to work there, and the guy who owned it said to me, "Look, if it doesn't work out sales, I'll always employ you in the workshop." So I thought, nothing to lose, is it? It's a no-brainer. So I thought, yeah, what the hell? One of those instant decisions that I made. So that was 1983, VW Audi dealership. There's only the owner there and myself. Fast forward 15 years there. We'd got Volkswagen, Audi, and then Seat. Pretty much hands-on working with the team. I've got about 7 or 8 salesmen in total. I thought in 97 it's time to bail out and do my own thing, really. Mm-hmm. So 97, my wife and Sue, myself, set up Specialist Cars, the current site where I'm at. So for the first few months, it was just literally working from home, trying to find a suitable site. And for some bizarre reason, I wanted a showroom. You know, we was having a used car pitch or a port cabin, but I just got this thing about, I want a showroom. And I remember one of my friends saying to me, he says, biggest mistake of your life, you don't want a showroom. Put your cars outside because everybody will see all the faults with all the cars. Well, you know, just one of those things that I think because I've been used to the new car environment, I wanted the showroom, you know. So rented the showroom 97, moved here in 1997. And literally pretty much a one-man band. Sue myself sort of built the business over the years. Sadly, I lost Sue in 2006 from what we built up. And it's in 2016, I bought the site that I'm on currently, which is Harris Motor Company. So I used to rent that in between. But I ended up actually buying the whole site, which is workshop, MOT centre, and tyre bay.
When was that? 2006.
Sorry, 2016. 2016. Yeah.
Was that a good move then?
Sorry, Stephen.
Was that a good move, do you think?
I think all the way along, I think I always wanted to own the site. I mean, as we all know, you know, renting is dead money, isn't it? You know, but when we all start, we don't have the funds, do we really? And I think sometimes we don't even get the advice properly, to be honest with you. Typically, I think like most people, except for Scott, I have to say, I mean, Scott is very forward thinking, you know, with buying and purchasing sites and building up. But I think most of us think, you start off being a salesman or whatever, and you just want to build a business, don't you? You don't think about the bigger picture of, you know, exit plan, as they call it now, you know, on that. So I'd always wanted to own the site, and I sort of looked at other sites in between, but nothing was available. And I thought, do you know what? One of these days, I am definitely going to be owning this site. And we'd had different negotiations over the years before I ended up buying it, and things didn't really, sort of come together. And then end of 2014, we got into conversations about possibly the whole site being for sale. And I said, look, if it doesn't happen now, forget it, because time is against me. You know, a few grey hairs coming along. So if it doesn't happen now, it never will do. You know, it's going to be too late in life type of thing. And we finally negotiated, and the the sort of handover was 7th of July 2016, which took a long time to negotiate to buy, from negotiating to purchase, all sorts of things happening, because it also added complication because it used to be a petrol station at the front. So all of a sudden you've got tanks which are being filled in, and then the bank saying, right, we want a land report to make sure the land's not contaminated. And then we've got the issue with, because it's an old MOT station, Irish Motor Company trading. As you guys know, if somebody new takes over, you've got to have new equipment and everything. So hence why our trade's still under Harris Motor Company. So it's me trading under. So he carried on with the old MOT equipment. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, how do you maneuver all these? Things you don't even think about, do you really? You don't think, you think, oh, you buy a MOT station in, but then it sort of transpired from there.
We did that. It was a seamless transfer, they called it.
Yes.
When we got the MOT centre, but when you set up one from new, it's a different kind of a setup.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I say you learn all these things as you're going along. I said none of us know these things, do we really? And when you start thinking, I'm going to buy this site or this, whatever. So that sort of, so I took on from being a sole trader, self-employed one-man band, literally, it's 2016 to all of a sudden having 5 staff. So, which is a learning curve again. I mean, and I can tell you the traumas I'm sure we all have, of employing staff and trying to find technicians, and trying to get people working to how I want them to work, and that's the whole thing. At the end of the day, I've got my own standards. I want things done my way. And a friend of mine bought me a sign actually when I bought Harris's, and he said, I don't know if you dare put this up on the wall. And he says, "My garage, my rules." I said, absolutely brilliant. I said, I love that sign. That is going up on the wall. So sure enough, there's a sign out there which says, "My garage, my rules."
Yeah, very good.
It has to be, doesn't it, Billy? It has to be.
Yeah.
And
so you mentioned there, Umesh, right up until 2016, you were just a one-man band then?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. I did have a salesman for a very short time, 2003 to 2006, which I said Sue wasn't very well at the time, so it helped out. But I did have a salesman just sort of helping out at the time, but it wasn't the way it was going to carry on for me. I suppose we all have different dreams, different visions of how you build a business, but I didn't really want to be growing massively. So hats off to you, Scott. You built a fantastic business, and you got all the staff, and how you built up, incredible business. You know what I mean?
We've spoken about this in the past, haven't we? When we've face to face,
yeah.
We've met. Yeah, we've had a few conversations about that.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm just, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I still get a buzz out of what I do. I love what I do. But yeah, I'm hands-on. I'm maybe a control freak too much. I don't know what it is. But it's just one of those things. As we said, Scott, we've discussed this, a few times when we met, haven't we? Really, I've just stayed at this level that I can control, I suppose.
My dad used to always say, a small fire keeps you warm, and a big fire you get burnt.
Is that what it is?
That's what he used to say to me. When I was younger, I remember it's one of his little sayings he used to say.
I'm interested in to hear about when you were working just on your own. I take it you were subbing all your work out on your cars, your prep work and stuff.
To be honest with you, all my life, I suppose, when I've stopped. I mean, even now, I've got the workshop now, but I've always, sub everything out from day one. I've never valeted a car, guys. Believe it or not, I don't believe in it.
Really?
Don't do it. Yeah. I will wash them off, and I will vacuum them. Once they've been cleaned, if they're going out, and I need to just prep them again. But I've never valeted a car, and I've no desire to. Even when I was sort of working from home, I found valeting company that valeted cars for me. It's not beyond me to do it, but it just never appealed to me. I don't like it. It's simple as that. Really, I said, I've done it.
You do realise that that's going to be the headline of the of the podcast now. Umesh Samani, I've never
valeted. Is that what you're looking for? Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So so literally, yes, subletting everything from day one, and I think sometimes. I see too often, I think we all do, guys. Sometimes, you get too focused on trying to save money as opposed to look at the bigger picture where you can actually make more money, So trying to save 100 quid on a valet, but I could be making 250 quid on something else. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just one of those things I've always thought about, So yeah.
Time management.
Sorry.
Time
Time
management,
management,
isn't it?
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
Scott, absolutely, indeed, absolutely that, you know. So yeah, I've always sublet the valeting, the MOTs. Used to, as I've got my own site now, the repairs, body work, everything. It's always been sublet, and I've got some great businesses that I've been loyal with since day one. You know, the body shop, you know, that I use still now. The guys who do majority of my alloy wheels, I was their first customer 20 years ago, and I
Yeah.
still use them today. You know, I'm very loyal that way. You know, at the end of the day, I think they look after me, I look after them. You know, that's how it works. Simple as that, really.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. I think that's that. It's nice to do everything in hand, you know, in the workshop now on hand because everything's on one side. But again, the benefit when I first started renting the showroom here was the fact that the workshop was next door. So again, if customers got a query or a slight problem, they'd pop back here and you can handle it, can't you? Because it's all on one site.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for some of these guys who've got separate sites and they've got relying on the workshop down the road where you're in their hands, aren't you? You've got a slight
Right.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
slight
not top of the
problem.
list, are you?
Yeah. Yeah, this is it. They get pushed back, don't they? So
Mhm.
the fact that, but I've always also, even before I owned the workshop, I used to encourage them to come back to me for servicing. And literally, I
Right.
would actually bring the customer to me to get the car serviced so I could sublet it next door. But the customers knew that anyway. But
Yeah.
I
But
was a
still came to
middleman.
you.
Yeah, they stuck with me. Absolutely. You know,
Mhm.
it's keeping that continuity, isn't it? Really, you know, because I've always been the old believer, and you see me shouting about raving fans, and that's what it's about: creating those raving fans that keep coming back time and time, keep recommending me. I've got generations who keep coming back to me because of just that continuity of looking after them.
Mhm.
I hear so many times where dealers will say, "Oh, don't want to see that car ever again or that customer
Mhm.
again." Thinking,
Yeah.
I hear that.
you can't wave that away, can you? You know, that was so crucial. You know, that's the repeat business that keeps coming back, isn't it?
I think it's all
Yeah.
down to repeat business. Our service plans is a good generator for repeat and keeping the customer like with us over the years. Because if they have a good time through service and support with warranties and so on, well, then they're going to buy another car, hopefully.
Why would they go anywhere else, Scott? You know, at the end
Exactly.
of the
Yeah.
day, you
Yeah.
know, that's it. You know, because doesn't matter, you know, all of us, wherever you want to go somewhere, if somebody's looked after you, you're more inclined to just go back
Mhm.
then or pick
You
the
go
phone up
back.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
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 And with, you know, quite a lot of them, it's not about that customer relationship. It actually becomes friends. That's the whole thing. You know, they're just literally popping for a coffee and a chat, you know, and you think that's what it's about in reality, I think. So that's what I say, you know, I'm all about shouting about raving fans all the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
And how have you managed that, your relationships with your customers over the years? Is it just up there in your head? Is it? Do you have a system in place, or is it all pen and paper? There.
Pen and paper.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
I got the impression that was going to be the case, you know, Umesh.
Well, yes and no, actually, to be honest with you. Well, it's a bit of that. But, however, going back 20 odd years, I do have an Excel spreadsheet, an Access spreadsheet as well, with every customer, every phone number, every address, what car they've bought. And I've also been a big advocate for 20 odd years with MailChimp. So all my customers go
Yeah.
into MailChimp, and
Yeah.
at least once a month, they will get an email from me. And it's not about hard sell. It's not saying I've got this for sale or whatever. It's just saying, hi, I'm here. The latest tip might be, you know, the latest scam which was out there. For example, Mike Brewer, when he got scammed with the with the payment of that card. You mean we'll discuss what happened the credit card side, but the fact that the guy who went and bought the other car off Facebook, he'd been scammed. So you just say, watch out for these scams, or these are the tips. Currently we've got obviously lots of MOTs in September, so I've sent an email out last week to say if you want to get the MOT done, make sure don't leave it last minute in September. But it's just honestly keeping in touch with all those customers over the years.
Nurturing them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
And
not about selling as well, by sounds of it.
Martin, absolutely spot on. It's not about
Yeah.
selling. And I see, and you probably we all get these bombarded salesmen. It's sell, buy this, buy this, buy this. And it's not about that. It's just saying, hi guys, I'm here. If you want any help. And genuinely, people have picked the phone up. I've only sold them one car. Then bottom end of London, they rang up and said, look, I'm selling my car privately. What should I look for? Or I bought this, they sort of become, a friend, haven't they? Really, it's not just about the fact that we had a transaction. They still pick the phone up and talk to me. I've had a couple of parties when I've been 20 years in business, 25 years in business, and again invited them here, and we've had a big party. Me just saying thank you very much for your support. And the number of customers who've said they've never had this, and they've had new cars from main dealers, never had such so. It is just back to keeping in touch and doing business with these guys again.
But that's you were mentioning before about forward thinking. That's forward thinking in itself. Like I bet you there's not many car dealers, especially car dealers who keep all notes on a notepad, who've got MailChimp in place, who are nurturing that customer journey and keeping in contact with them, and that's really forward thinking. Have you been doing that a long time, especially?
Well, I say it's 20 odd years. When you look at the database back, it's 20 odd years that I've been collecting that data information. And if you think about it, guys, every dealer out there has got that information.
Yeah.
And what have 70, 80, 90% of those dealers done with that information?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then they're wondering why they're trying to get new customers all the time. They're missing out, on all those potential, customers coming. Not all of them come back. Majority might come back to them, or even to get a 20% coming back. It's for free, isn't it? Really?
Of course it is. Yeah.
It
costs you the subscription to MailChimp. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which again used to be free till a couple of years ago. They started charging, but again, it's not a fortune, in the whole picture of it, is it really?
No,
not in the grand scheme of things, is it?
No, absolutely. Yeah.
I remember in lockdown,
Scott.
we doubled our emails what were going out, even though we're closed. But it was to try and keep in people's minds, so when we actually did reopen, they were fresh in their minds, so you didn't actually lose anybody drifting away.
Exactly that, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not about sell either. If you're providing value for somebody, they're more than likely, when they are thinking about buying the next car, to think about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's keeping your name in front, isn't it? Keeping your name in front,
Of course it is.
Keep it about marketing.
It
keep it about marketing is just keeping it going, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So with the workshop side of things, Umesh, how many staff did you say you've got in the workshop? Did you say 5?
I've got 4. One's on maternity, so about 5 I'm employing. Yes, there's 5 in total. Yeah, so I've got 1 receptionist, 1 bookkeeper, and 3 in the workshop. Yeah.
And is that a separate business in itself? Is it generating a profit for you, or is it just simply to get your cars ready and out the door and service the customers that you've already got?
I would say majority is it looks after itself pretty much. It breaks even. I do charge myself. It's not a case of because it's there I don't charge myself. I charge not the full retail rate, which I know some accountants might say it's false figures, but it's just plain wooden dollars, aren't we really? But I charge a reasonable rate from the workshop to myself. But it is just one business overall, technically. The VAT number's only one for on that. But it's pretty much. Looks after itself, it sort of cleans its face end of each year, make a little bit of profit, a little bit of loss, but it's just there. But but the fact that every car is prepped and done literally before it goes on sale. I know I heard David about, with his cars on the last podcast about trying to be an ideal situation. And honestly, for 10, 12 years, I've managed to maintain almost every car on the forecourt is turnkey and go. So if you rocked up now and said, I want to buy that car, you can go with it. Number one, the fact that
it's a heart mind.
It's there. You know what you spent on that car. You know the car's right. And the one thing which I won't do, and I still don't understand dealers, is to advertise cars where you've got scratches on, the wheels are bashed up. That customer wants to see that car fully prepped, how they pick it up, don't they really?
First impressions.
First impressions every time, and so I say,
a lot of dealers that they won't do the paintwork, and they'll say, "Oh, well, we'll do that for you." The customer has a scratch on the door, and they say, "Oh, well, we'll do that for you." Well, they should present it as it should. I
I think you'll find that as dealers scale, they lose that element of it a little bit. And they're like, all right, we need to keep turning cars. We need to keep turning cars. Just put it up for sale. Get it up on the auto trader. Get it ready. And I think you lose that. I think it's hard to scale for people.
I think it
unless
is. I
you've
think
got a lot of
I can
staff.
understand that. Yeah, the more cars you've got, I understand it's difficult, and at my level, I can do it. Yes, I understand that. You know, but the thing is, as Scott said, when that customer comes, he wants to see it gleaming, doesn't he? I mean, the last thing you want to do is walk and say, "Oh, we'll do the wheels, we'll do the scratch, we'll do the trim," and it's like the shine's already got off it, And I remember this is a long time ago. Nissan 200SX. I'd got one of the showroom, absolutely gleaming away, and the guy came down, looked at it, and he said, "You're asking too much for it." I said, "Why do you think that?" Well, there's one down the road, and it literally was 1.5 miles, 2 miles down the road. He says, "It's $2,000 cheaper." I said, "That's fine." And we all hear it day in, day out, don't we, in this job? Somebody's got one cheaper. That's fine. And I said, "No problem at all." I said, "I can tell you mine's one owner. It's this, whatever." I said, "And that's what I'm selling you." I said, "I can't comment on somebody else's car. You need to go and buy, don't you?" "Well, will you come down the price?" And I said, "No, I believe mine's a fair price." Almost stormed out, you could say, because I wasn't negotiating, and I was just telling him that's $2,000 more, so be it.
Yeah.
An hour later, he's back on the front, and I said, "Oh right, did you buy that one?" He says, "Oh, what a car." He said, "It wants 3 panels for spraying, all the wheels are bashed up." He says, "But the salesman said we can do that. That's 200 quid. That's 100 quid. That's 150 quid. They want to actually even charge him to get it." And I said, "Right, okay." So I said, what are you doing then?" He says, "I'd like to buy yours, please." And he actually paid me the money there and then and took the car with him. So that's the whole thing.
Isn't it?
I was hoping you were going to say within that hour when he was away, somebody else came in and bought it.
That has happened as well. That's happened.
That would have been a better one.
Honestly, it does happen, doesn't it? It's.
I love it when customers don't believe us about that, though, do they?
Yeah, and they get annoyed, and they're like,
"Yeah.
You're telling that? No, you're lying. You couldn't have sold it." Yeah, I've sold it.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I've only literally less than 10 minutes. Same thing happened here. So a guy had been on the fork, I forget what the car was, and he was like, "No, I'm going to have to think about it." And I said, "Look, somebody else could potentially," because I had a phone call, somebody's coming to have a look at it. So I said, potentially this could be gone in the next 10 minutes. So typically I'll take my chances. Okay. And they literally walked out of here, went around the corner, sat in the car to discuss themselves. The other guy pulled up, looked around the car, and he said, "Oh, it's exactly what you told me on the phone, blah, blah, whatever. We'll have it off you." The 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes, the other couple walked around on there and said, "Oh, we've had a discussion." I said, "Can I just stop you before we go any further? I've just sold it." I like the horror. "What do you mean you've sold it?" I said, "That couple there have just agreed to buy it." "But you knew." I said, "No." I said, "What did I say to you before you left the forecourt?"
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't
We've
believe
all
you
had
do
it happen.
that. Yeah, absolutely. But they don't believe you do that. You're just being quite straight. You're not being just trying to fob them off. But it is a time.
In the same sense, I bet you there is other dealers out there who would just say that for effect and who are probably trying to massage the truth.
Yes.
So you can see where why they think that, wouldn't you?
We had one years ago when I first set up, and it was like a father and daughter situation, and he was just in my ear for a good hour, wanting money off, battered in the ear all the time. "Can you do this? Can you do it?" Wandering us around where I was, and in the finish, I said, "Can't do anything off," and I says, "No, that's it." And anyway, they went outside to sit in the car, and I was watching them in the car, and then he came back in and he says, "Right, I'll buy the car." And I went, "Nah, I'm not going to sell you the car. I'm going to sell it to somebody else. I'm not even going to sell you the car." I said, "You wound me up in here for about an hour." His daughter burst into tears. So then I felt terrible. So then he felt terrible. So then he was full of apologies and, "Oh, I want to give you all the money for the car," and all that. So I sold him it in the finish, but I did feel a bit bad. But it was just constantly go on and on and on for like this money off. It was probably over about 100 quid. I probably should have caved in the start, but I didn't.
That must have been a long time ago.
That was when I was up at Headland, yeah. So like probably
about
11 years ago.
Doing any sort of work whatsoever.
Yeah, Jane wasn't available that day, so I was actually on the shop floor.
That was it.
Yeah, she was.
The interesting thing is, when you turn customers away, and I've done it quite a few times, where it's just the wrong customer. I hate to say it, but it's just the wrong customer. I'm sorry, I don't want to sell you the car. And I won't bore you with a full story, but this guy, again, he'd been on an older Golf. Anyway, I just explained this wasn't the car for him. But he came a couple of times, and then he rang up and said, "I'm coming down to buy it." I'm thinking, no, I don't want to sell you the car. So I thought, I'm just going to face this face to face. So I let him come down. We're standing in the showroom. I said, "Look, I said, I'm really sorry, but I don't want to sell you the car." And you can imagine, he just looks at me. He says, "Did I hear you right?" I said, "Look," I said, "rather than sell you the car and we fall out after, the best thing is if I don't sell you the car, then we're not going to fall out, are we?" I said, "Because the last thing I want to do is to turn up here every morning and you're waiting for me because there's a problem. And you don't want to be turning up here every morning with a problem." I said, "It's just not the car for you. I don't want to sell it to you." So he walked outside and came back in again, effing and blinding, saying, "Was I in the right mind?" I said, "Absolutely." He says, "You're either brave or stupid." I said, "Probably both." I said, "But it doesn't really matter. That's not the point. I don't want to sell you the car." So he sat in his car, came back out again, and he said, "I'm going to tell everybody about you, blah, blah, blah." And I said, Stop. I said, "That's fine." I said, "Look, do me a favor." I said, "Please just get the facts right that I've refused to sell you a car. Anything more than that is called slander." I said, "But please tell everybody the truth." And I walked away.
Yeah.
I think, it's difficult, when we're in business, trying to turn business up. But sometimes you just have to walk away from certain customers, really. It's just not worth the headache.
I bet he never told a soul.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
We've had it before. Some customers are strange, aren't they? We've had a customer before who's bought a car for previously and had had issues with the car, and we've tried to rectify them in the same way with anyone, and they were just being difficult and very difficult all the time. We actually have a system that we work from, and we can check back 6 years later from to see what happened and what have you. The reason I say that is because this particular customer came back in 2 or 3 years ago. He left with a bad review online, even though we'd done nothing wrong, and he wanted to buy another car in the same situation again. Well, like, we didn't understand it. You slandered with, you slated with, and the last time we bent over backwards to help you, and you still, was still going on and on about how you were mistreated and how the car's no good and what have you. You just can't. You can't help everyone, can you? You can't sort of meet everyone's expectations. And he turned back in, well, like, "No, we don't want to sell you a car." And see him again, he was like, "I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that." And
we had one very similar to that, and I said to the customer, he was great at first and he'd used the service and just, I don't know what was wrong with him. But in the finish, I said, "Look, can I speak to your wife and tell her what's been going on?" And he just backtracked straight away. "Oh no, I've had problems and I've had this and I got all these full story of all these problems." And then he disappeared. And then I think he finally went to a garage not far away around the corner from us, because I've seen on their Facebook page how they put a big post on how some of the service centre had messed him around and this, that, and the other. But obviously didn't know the full story. They thought they'd captured one of our customers. So we were like laughing, thinking, well, good on them. Good luck with that one. Umesh, what can I ask as well before we go on? What's your thoughts on electric? So I think you source all your stock privately. Is that correct? You don't go through auctions.
27 years, never been to an auction. I'm a virgin, guys. I just
good.
not
Good.
been to an auction.
You've never been to an auction. You've never
where to
wanted a car.
Yeah, that's good. What's your thoughts on electric cars?
Those little things I have to plug in the electric. That's the one. Yes, right. Okay. To be honest with you, Scott, I've never had an EV vehicle. I'm not anti-EV, to be honest with you. I think, the great cars, we get 1 or 2 Teslas a year that we put tires on, a few BMs in for a few other jobs, whatever. I've driven them, fantastic to drive, not crabbing them that way. There is a market for them. I think they were well overpriced a couple of years ago. I think we all would probably agree on that. And I've always maintained for a number of years that once he finds the right level, they become good value, which they are doing now. I think they are great value. Look at, yeah. So, but as yet, I've not dabbled with them. I think to go anywhere with EVs, I think you could have a few cars choice, to show customers. I think if I had one, I think I would struggle. I think if you've got, a few choices that you can actually explain to customers, show them different ranges or different models, whatever, I think you do well with them. But as yet, I've not bought any, to be honest with you. But there is definitely a market there for them. Have you had many or not, Scott?
we had a Tesla, but it wasn't the long range and it wasn't like the performance one. So that hung around for a little while. And then I dipped my toe back in again. So we've just bought a performance one and a long range one. But we're having a little look because I agree with you. They're becoming more affordable now. You know, if you're on the, £20,000 mark and you just plug it in and so on. If, the infrastructure's not there, and which we know about all that kind of stuff. But I think just for people just going around the doors, they're probably good value now. They're coming in the market now.
Yeah, I think the big. Sorry, Stephen. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say that the frightened me a little bit. What happens if you buy one and the battery's goosed? What happens
buy more with a broken engine.
Same
thing, really.
To be honest with you, I think this is the whole thing. I think there's quite a bit of misconception there. I think from generally everybody. I think, as I said, the range thing is an anxiety thing that we all think about. But then in reality, if you're not doing the miles, why worry about it? Why nothing to worry about? And I know people say, well, you get that warning light coming on saying, 50-mile range. Well, what happens if you've got a petrol car and it tells you you've got 30-mile range? You find the nearest fuel station. So with the EV, it's the same thing. You just plan your journeys, or you know where the stations are, you do the charging on there.
Yeah.
And as you say, if a battery goes bang, what happens if you get a Land Rover, the engine goes bang? It's unfortunate.
That's
Sorry,
why I
wrong
don't buy
example.
Land
There's probably more Land Rovers going bang than any batteries going bang anyway. But that's the whole thing. You know what I mean? It is that. But yeah, honestly, Scott, so going back to your first question, all years I've always been buying privately from day one. In fact, I found one of my old business cards from the day I started that I buy cars privately. So long before all the buying sites and all those, I've been buying privately. And I think I get spoiled because customers bring the cars to me. The odd one I go to the house within a reasonable range and I'll buy it from there. But they come to me, I'll pick and choose what I want, what I don't want to buy. The only drawback sometimes is the fact that you don't always get offered what you want to buy, if you know what I mean. Sometimes you think, I could do with a couple of A3s and whatever, but you don't get offered those, whatever the situation may be. But yeah, certainly the fact that I could tell a story about that car, and I've met the last people, the last owners. I know the history. I've checked it over here, and I can tell a story to the next owners. And I don't know if you've seen in my adverts, but I do write full story about every single car. There'll be 100 images. There's a full HD video walk around. I'll talk about the car, and those videos actually do sell me cars as well. I don't know if you guys do videos to that degree, but for years I've been saying good videos sell cars. And
I agree.
The times people literally will pick the phone up, reserve the car, and they say, your video sold me the car. There's a guy the other day on a Ford Cougar, and he said it was more expensive than anybody else's. He says, but your video did the work. And he came over, he says, and I'm not disappointed, So again, going back to trying to compete, then they will want to compete and sell cars on whatever platform. But in reality, you've got to make the most out of every car you've got. And if you present it right, number one is prep it right in the first place, then present it properly with the images, the videos, the whole marketplace, the showcase. It goes a long way, doesn't it, really?
Do you ever buy anything from Motorway or CarWow and any of those, not those sites, even like privately via them?
No, to be honest with you, I am registered on both sites.
Right.
I have looked at one or two online, but no, I haven't. I haven't, honestly. I think I'm too spoiled. I'm stuck here in my own ways of not wanting to get out of there, and some of the dramas I keep hearing about cars not described properly, and I've got quite a few colleagues who do buy from there, to be honest with you. But the horror stories I keep hearing from, again, the cars getting more and more misdescribed, I suppose. Issue cars, and also I think some of the prices, what I'm told, of what they're fetching.
Crazy,
is where do you go with them? And that's the whole thing. I've been sent screenshots from various different friends of mine saying that just fetched that, and look at that. And you could buy one for retail money, off a retail forecourt for that sort of price. So
that was going to be one of my questions to you. Who do you think's buying these cars? Because you put your price on how much you're going to pay, and even if you put the car onto Motortrade, it would still be at high price, £1,000 over high. So
yes.
My only thoughts are it's going to maybe people who don't advertise on Autotrader because of the price markers, or it's going to car supermarkets, possibly main dealers.
But if you think about it, car supermarkets, they're still advertising majority on Auto Trade, aren't they?
But do they just put a good price and the low price cars on, and then everything what's high, they just leave off? And then on a Saturday when they've got the face painting going on for the kids and the hot dogs and so on, and then people are going down there, they'll see a high price car. They don't pull the phone out and go, "I'll just check this car on Auto Trade and see that it's definitely not £3,000 too much." And then all of a sudden they're sucked in.
I think I agree with you, and I think there is also some car supermarkets, as you say, don't advertise Auto Trader, but they have just got their own branding and they attract certain type of clientele, don't they? So they're not looking at a 20 grand car, they're looking at £2.99 a week or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing, isn't it? So it's all finance led more so, and they built it on that sort of basis. But as you say, majority will look on Auto Trader as one of the platforms, don't they? You know, and as you say, them price markers, honestly, they've been my pet hate since they will launch. I've even had Trevor Mathery, you know, when he used to be the MD, discussing it. There is good and bad points on both sides of it, but I just think when the cars are prepped to standard and you've got a certain standard, you look after customers a different way. And there's a story with, you know, for example, mine's one owner car's got the full history and not 15 owners, no history, etc. It's misleading the public, I think, you know, and I've said this, you know, the fact that it's price led and not actually the product led, is it? If you think about it, you know, yes, some of the options might be looked at, and but not all the options, as we know.
I wonder if they did a survey, Umesh, with the 13,500 dealers who are on there who actually likes the price markers. I wonder what the results would be. You know, I've always said they're good for us to see, but maybe they shouldn't go on the platform. Also, the high price one. I don't like when you get into high prices, changes things.
Well, funny enough, I've just literally done a video on Saturday that I've put on my own Facebook thing, and I'm actually showing my own cars where it shows high price, fair price, good price, and you know, I've got to price what that car is worth on the open market, and if it falls into good market, so you know that's great, but if it's high, so be it. I mean, I've got a QT. There's only one in the country ever made in purple. You know, it's come up with a fair price, but where are you going to find a purple Q2 Quattro 2 litre, one owner with 6,100 miles? You know, but that's going to fair price. You're not. So that's the trouble, you know, and I think some of those consumers do understand cars and condition and the history and reputation, etc. You know, luckily they find me out, but those who look on price will never ever look at my cars, you know. Maybe is that a good thing? You know, maybe I don't want that customer. I don't really know.
Maybe
you don't. Maybe I don't. You know, but at the end of the day, I'm being penalised. And to be honest with you, all the guys from Auto Trade and you know, even Mark Thornborough would agree this. You know, the fact that they've all said they've been here. They've said my cars are prepped to a very, very high standard. You know what I mean? But then I get penalised for having a high price marker. Right? Okay. How does that work, guys? Come on, help me. You know, I just want.
There's dealers out there who they're cutting back on prep now just so they can try and get the margin out the car to fit under the right price marker. So then that's a negative for the Motor Trade?
Of course it is, isn't it? Because as you say, that customer
by Auto Trader?
Yeah, exactly. Indeed. So I said they're not, as I've said from day one, they're not helping the consumer, because which is what the platform is there for, to help the consumers. You know, I've always said, and I'm not anti-Auto Trader. Before people start sort of saying use anti-auto, I'm not anti-Auto Trader at the end of the day. But I've always said from day one, please just advertise my cars, leave the finance, leave the part exchange, and leave your markers off. That's down to me, us dealers, to do that. You know, we'll give the part exchange. You know, once we've had a conversation with the consumer and get a bit more information, not just particularly on registration number and mileage. So we'll have that conversation with them and you know, trying to find out what the car's worth. So we'll do with part exchange, we'll do with the finance of it. Please just advertise my cars, and don't tell them it's too dear or it's too cheap, because you don't have the full facts about my car. You know, you can't just bundle my car with similar cars.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's always been my argument on that one. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you know, we're all trying to make a living out of it, not we?
Exactly.
Can I just ask you, Umesh, how many cars do you normally stock?
If you look at the moment, it's quite disappointing how little I've got. I think I've got about 18
Oh,
or
really?
19 on the website. Yes, it's. I normally
Right.
carry between 25 and 30, so it's not big numbers at all. So it's
Yeah.
25 to 30 that I carry.
And what sort of volume do you normally average doing out of that sort of stock level?
I'm more about profit than I am about volume
Oh,
of
that's
cars.
fair. That's fair
Sorry,
enough.
guys.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, just
go back
to
to
give
you know,
people
no,
an indication of what.
yeah, no, absolutely, no. I'll happily tell you that. In a year, I'll do between 125 and 150.
Right.
That's half what Scott does in a month.
Yeah.
And that's my whole year,
Oh.
Scott. You know what I
But,
mean.
but
So
you
that's
make more
what
money than me.
No, guys, but at the end of the day, yeah, I say it's yeah, it's not big numbers, but I'm happy to stay the size I am. I'm I've said from the word go. So, yeah, absolutely. So, I would not want the headache of trying to replace 150 cars a month, Scott. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think you do a
Yeah.
phenomenal job doing that. That's me. But even trying
Yeah,
to
it's hard.
replace, 8-10 cars a month is difficult. The way that I do it. I'm sure I
Yeah.
could, if I change my way, that I
Mhm.
could get more that way. But yeah, so I say it is just buying privately, and I do get spoiled because they do come to me, but I've got a story to tell with every car, so that makes it easy to sell, if you know what I mean. On that sort of basis. And again, prep wise, and I probably spend less on prep than probably a lot of dealers because again, majority are almost honestly that there's cars they appear just even don't need a valet. They just literally put a price on, back up for sale again.
Yeah.
Could do with a few of them.
Yeah, we all could do. I mean, really, all the time. Yes, it all helps, as I say. Yes, every little helps on that one. Yes.
Yeah. Just moving on a little bit. What would be your biggest pain point, Umesh, in your business?
That's an interesting one. Is the biggest pain point? I suppose one is obviously buying the right stock. On that one. I think after that, I think it's staff and recruitment in the workshop. To be honest with you, trying to find technicians is been very, very challenging. Honestly, since I bought Harris's back in 2016, I've got none of the original staff are there on the workshop side at all. So because it's just been, as I said, my garage, my rules. It hasn't worked. So I've moved on with different people and got on. Got a great team now.
Do you think Brexit had an impact on that regarding staff? I always think it's a lot of the Polish guys and people from Europe. They seem to, when the Brexit happened, all of a sudden there was big shortages of even painters for body shops and that. We seem to get hit with that, and then obviously there was the lockdown where everybody went home. But do you think a lot of it was to do with Brexit or not?
I think a lot of it has, to be honest with you. I think, as you say, I think a lot of people have gone back home. They decided this wasn't the place, particularly lockdown situation, wasn't it? They thought, you know what? What's the point of staying here anymore? And they've gone back. They made the homes back again over there.
Yeah.
And we've got the knock-on effect now. And I was only saying that literally a couple of weeks ago to another friend of mine, similar situation. I just said Brexit has affected us, and it's knock-on effect now, isn't it? Really, as time's gone on, situations got worse and worse. And I also think, there's less and less people want to be mechanics or technicians these days as well. And on top of that, I think we've also got the main dealer technicians who were on big bucks that the independents can't afford to because of different schemes, what they're on, whatever. So again, I think it's difficult to find the right technicians. But I think also the other one, an old friend of mine said to me, I used to work with, because I tried to poach him to go and work for me. He works at VW at the moment, and I've known him about 20 odd years. And I just met up with him a few weeks back. I just bumped into him. I said, could do with a good technician. And in his words, he says, I'd be no good to you. He said, all I know is VW. He said, you've got a workshop that does everything. He said, I'll be totally lost. So he says, I'm technically if I leave the VW world, I'm unemployable, because he says, I'm spoiled with it. That's all I've done. That's all I know. That's all the equipment and the cars that I know. So he said, I'll be no good to you. Which I thought was a good point, wasn't it, really, if you think about it?
It's frightening, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if every mechanic working at every main dealer for different brands is all saying the same thing, the Ford techs are saying the same thing, the VW ones are. Like, what does the future hold for your independents when they need to get someone who can fix, be jack of all trades?
Yes. Yeah.
To be fair, you notice that in the main dealer world is you tend to see salespeople swap around and do different brands and so forth, but your mechanics, your technicians do tend to stay loyal to the brand because they do become accustomed to it. They've got their own workstation. It is a total different environment from sales to service.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so, isn't it? Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Umesh, I'm going to have to. Sorry, I'm just going to cut in. You're going to have to excuse me, Umesh, because I've got to go to the morpeth because I've got to go to the dentist for this massive big X-ray on my teeth. But we started about 20 minutes late with the sound check, so I'm going to have to. It's an emergency. I've got to go, so I'm going to have to step out of the pod. It's very unprofessional, but I do apologise. But I have to go.
Episode 2, this. Episode 2, and he's already cutting.
I know this is it. Yeah. Obviously,
To be fair, I'm looking at the thing behind Umesh there, sing like no one is listening. The singing that Scott's been doing today.
I've had some tunes today with the Oasis. Stephen's
go on, before you go, do your Oasis impression. Go on.
Waiting for it.
Oh, I couldn't possibly.
Come on.
No, I've got a pre-record on my phone. No, I couldn't do it.
You were happy enough to do it before.
It's for private. It's very private. That.
So do you not like Oasis?
I'm gutted, mate. I'm gutted. I thought you'd do it for me.
Come on.
No, I'll do it next time I see you, Umesh. It's really good, but I don't think it's appropriate. Yeah, I bottled it. I was all excited to play it, but I'm not going to now.
I'll look forward to you when I meet you with this girl. Looking forward to that.
Oh, he's got it.
He's got it. It's coming. It's coming.
Baby, you wanna be the one that saves me.
Oh, he's went off.
That's a bad thing, I know.
I think I sound much better, but that was basically it when I was practicing this morning.
Scott, don't give up your day job.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Right, I'm going to have to go, but I'll leave you on it. Yeah?
Right, okay. Yeah. Well,
thanks, Umesh. I'll speak to you soon. I'll message you later.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
He's gone.
He wasn't been waiting ages to do that.
Yeah, so he's obviously with the Oasis tickets coming available this morning. I'm a massive Oasis fan, which I'm sure most of the country is. But Scott doesn't really. That's him in the background there. Scott doesn't really like them very much. So he's been ribbing us all day about it. So yeah, moving on, Umesh. Can you talk a little bit more about your involvement with the what is it? IMDA?
IMDA, absolutely. IMDA, yeah. So the IMDA, how it all started and what it's all about. If those who might not know anything about the IMDA, Independent Motor Dealers Association, it actually bizarrely started with a conversation that I had with Jim Reed back in 2012. So I met Jim Reed via Twitter and ended up actually flying out to see Jim and sat there having a beer or two with him and literally discussing how none of us actually get the experience or turn to people for advice, if you know what I mean. You know, we all started businesses, but we just sort of drop into, don't we? You know, we've got nobody to ask to advise or how to advise us what to do, what's next thing, whatever. So we just asked, wouldn't it be good if we just had somebody to turn to and talk about, you know, the industry, whatever. So literally from that evolved a Twitter Car Dealer Forum. So which was a forum which was basically anybody in the motor industry could join. It's all vetted to make sure there were legitimate traders, dealers, industry people there. And we called it Twitter Car Dealer Forum because the majority of people came from Twitter. Right. So back in 2013, 14, 15, that built up to 1,000 people, 1,000 on the database, all motor trade related at various levels. Even people from America joined, you know what I mean? Because of the industry. Yeah. So we had various different chats on there, but it was all very clunky because it was all on desktop, you know, not the old mobile these days like the Facebook thing, really. Mm-hmm. So from that, sort of fast forward to 2017 is when officially the IMDA was formed, because we kept thinking, right, we need to form something to try to help other people in the industry. So there were 7 of us who started it, and it was purely just to try to give a voice to the independent dealers. Because again, the franchise have got the NFDA. Who do we have as independents? Nobody.
Mm.
Yeah.
We've got nobody to turn to. Nobody speaks up for us. We're the poor relation, aren't we? Really, as the independent dealers. So we formed the IMDA, which was again trying to get like-minded dealers together to give support and help. So to today, I think we've got 1,200-ish members out there and 60+ partners who have exclusive deals just for IMDA members. So that could be DMS systems, could be websites, it could be finance, whole stack of them really, but exclusive deals just for the members.
Mhm.
There's also
Yeah, I
free
think we need
legal.
to speak to you about that afterwards as well.
Yeah, there's free legal advice via law data for all the members. I mean, free. You know what I mean? So that's free there. We've got exclusive insurance with Howden's Insurance as well, which again for IMDA, there's a special package for that. Automatic uplift on stock values, things like that. There's so many benefits. And the thing is, it's still free for dealers. They do not have to pay a single penny. It's as simple as that, really. And, in time, I mean, there's reels and reels of stuff which, that the IMDA have done, which we don't get recognized for, don't even know that we exist. So when COVID kicked in, we spoke with DVLA about on a company test drive, because if you think about it, trade plates, technically, you should have a member of staff in that vehicle because the trade plate's use. So we spoke to DVLA and they said, okay, you can send cars out with customers unaccompanied. So that was a big thing that we did at the time. Howden's Insurance said you can do unaccompanied test drives because of COVID at the time. I know some people still have that on their policy, or had it before or after. I've always had that anyway. But the fact that they changed the rules, IMDA sort of helped to change the rules. We have direct connection with DVLA. We got quite a few dealers who've got issues with V5s and cloned cars. And we managed to resolve all this because we have direct connections with the DVLA, DVSA. There's so much thing that the IMDA do, that people don't even know about us. And that's the thing, we're trying to help lots of dealers for free. But the interesting thing is sometimes we get dealers saying, why should I join you? Well, if you need to ask that, guys, you don't need to be part of us. We're not trying to be the elite club or anything like that. Yeah, it's crazy. We've got a code of conduct. As long as you do the job right. And the other biggest thing that we've got is lots of dealers are worried about distance selling. This was mentioned with the interview with David, wasn't it, about distance selling? I've done quite a few distance sellings. I don't do loads of them, but people have bought cars because they've seen the videos, seen the pictures, read the reviews, whatever. It doesn't worry me because I know my cars are prepped high. But even then, sod's law, bloody cars can break down, don't they? We all know that. You could do 500, you could do 500 miles in a car tomorrow, send it to give it to somebody else the next day. Light comes on, I think, shit, what do I do? And the car could be 50 miles down the road, could be 10 miles down the road. We've got a dealer support network, throughout the country. Again, we're building that. So, and to be honest with you, a couple of dealers have helped me out where, I've sold a car, something's pinged on, and I'm just thinking, right, who's the nearest dealer to where the customer lives? Make it easy for the customer just to pop into there. And it's been resolved very quickly and a couple of times with no cost at all. Just very easy, very simple job done. So we've got this massive, massive dealer network as well. I could go on all day about what the IMDA do, but it's there to give a voice and support the independent dealers. And I say it's free to join. If anybody wants to have a look, just go on theimda.co.uk.
Great. And so it's literally they just need to go to the website, imda.co.uk and sign up.
Yeah, just sign up on there. I said we've got so many special offers on there, and I said it is all free to join. All we want is bona fide motor dealers out there, genuine dealers. The code of conduct is pretty much that you're a decent, honest dealer type of thing. I say you've got all the information on there. I said we've got the dealer network support group as well.
Excellent.
So just on that, I mean, what would you say is the industry sort of biggest challenges in the next sort of 5-10 years? Or
I think the biggest industry challenge, I think, is is cars reliability and support, because I think the cars are getting very, very complex now. Following on even from that I've just said about having the support network, but I think we rely so much on the main dealers for help and support, and we don't get it. And that's I think that's another problem. It's them and us, and it shouldn't be them and us. We're in the same industry. We've all got a common help, which is to help and support the customer, the consumer who's bought that car, regardless of you supplied it, I supplied it, Mercedes-Benz main dealer supplied it. They have a duty as a manufacturer to ensure that customer's looked after, because they've trusted their money into that brand, haven't they? Not just me as a used car dealer, but as that brand. So I think the challenge is going to be getting these cars sorted. I think even the main dealers struggle sometimes, I think, with diagnosing some of the faults with cars, which is inherent on that one. So the manufacturers need to step up a bit more, I think, to support their own dealer network, never mind the independent dealer network as well. I think quality used cars, sourcing used cars, I think will always be a challenge, won't it? Really, there are so many cars
We're
out
trying
there
to solve it.
You certainly are with Dealerway. I mean, I think that's fantastic. I think the fact that you've got a process there with Dealerway where you've got bona fide dealers, trusted dealers with reviews, and I think that's the way it's going forward. As it's the whole thing is that trusting, isn't it? And I think that's why, probably going back to where I buy my cars from, it's that trusting. I've not dealt with the auctions because of the trust thing, and even with the traders, over the years, sadly, there's too many people out there to make a quick buck, stitch you up, move on, and they don't care. It's a numbers game to them. They'll stitch you up tomorrow, Martin the next day, me the next day, and they don't care. And this will carry on. But if you've got a foolproof system with Dealerway, you can try to eliminate that a little bit, can't you? We can't be always 100% with anything, as we all know. But in reality, you can just, make sure there's less of it happening out there.
That's the goal.
Trust again.
That's the goal behind it.
Yes.
Yeah, you've just nailed it, actually. Yeah, just nailed it. Umesh, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I just want to ask you one more thing. Do you have any advice for anyone that's maybe in the Dealerway community, if they're just starting out?
Find something else to do. No.
It's probably the best
with a day job.
Do you know what? The biggest advice I would give to anybody, and I think this applies to any industry, is love what you do. Don't think of, go in the motor industry to make a quick buck, because the quick bucks don't happen these days anyway. But I think you've got to enjoy what you do. You've got to love what you do. But I think anybody out starting, new these days, is don't start comparing to what other established dealers have got, their businesses. Everything looks fantastic from the outside. Do it in your own little way, if that's what you want to do. If you want to grow fast, do it in your own way. And the other thing which I learned very, very late in life is never be frightened to ask other people. I get quite a few dealers asking me now about how to start off, what to do. And I never did that, I suppose, in the old days, because the dealers in them days didn't want to talk to anybody else. And that's how the IMDA, again, formed to help and support each other. So if you want to know anything, speak to anybody out there. Most dealers out there will happily share their advice, their journey, and help you and support you.
Fantastic. I think we'll leave it on that. Umesh, you've been a brilliant guest. Thanks very much for your time. And we'll see you on the next one, hopefully.
Absolutely, great pleasure. Thanks for the invites. Just hope we sorted the technical issues out in the early stages. That's okay now, so hopefully it'll be good. But yeah, thanks for inviting me, guys.
No problem. Lovely.
Thanks.
Thanks, Umesh.